going to talk more about mindfulness and how we can practice that in our. In today's session, we are going to continue our second session by me, actually third session overall on stress management. And we are going to learn more about what mindfulness is and how we can practice it in the day-to-day life. Um, so this is kind of a cute cartoon I found that actually, gives us a kind of a little preview of different things we do in our day-to-day life. But mindfulness is truly when we are, doing one particular thing with full awareness and attention in that, whether you are doing gardening, or chatting with your friends, that active listening, as we call it, like listening fully, you know, and being fully present. When you're taking a shower, really noticing the whole experience in form of physical sensations, um, you know, spending time in nature when you go for a walk, admiring the beauty around you, exercising, So like I was saying yesterday, there's like, I won't go in all of those, but you kind of get the message that doing everything more, full by being fully aware and fully present and not trying to do two, three things together is one of the ways mindfulness can be brought in. And, I think we understand that our lives are challenging. Like yesterday when Cliff was asking this example, was sharing this question and sharing this example of when I'm getting pulled in three different directions, it's impossible to practice mindfulness, and that might be very well true. So the idea is that at least we take some pauses during certain things we are doing during the day, even though it may not be possible to be doing every action, every task mindfully. Even if I can do my two or three things, like even like when I'm brushing my teeth in the morning, can I be mindfully present there in this whole activity I'm doing with my hand, taking the toothbrush, putting the toothpaste, and then feeling the sensation of the toothbrush in around my teeth, and feeling the taste and the flavor of the toothpaste, and you know swishing and feeling the cold water moving in my mouth. Like essentially, it's just like you know I am being there. Like even though my chatterbox is going, like I have this to do, this to do, this to do, this to do. I just really want to quickly brush my teeth, get into shower, get ready for work. If I take even like 30 seconds of my 1 minute, 2 minute brushing of teeth, that's still a way to practice mindfulness. So it doesn't take like a whole lot. I'm not expecting, to feel this burden that we have to do everything mindfully. And where is the time? Where is the bandwidth for that? Even if you start with small things, like even tying your shoelaces, if you can be fully there while you're like tying your shoelaces, is a simple task, but like, okay, what am I doing now? I put my feet into the shoes, I'm picking one lace with one hand, the other lace with the other hand, I'm making a little bow and I'm tying it. Even that 30 seconds of shutting your brain from other things and just being in that moment is kind of a nice pause that our brain can benefit from, rather than the constant go, go, go all the time. So, let's see. So, we went over benefits of mindfulness yesterday. Besides, some of the things I shared about how you can bring it in your day-to-day life. There's been a lot of new research talking about benefits of combining mindfulness along with cognitive behavioral therapy. So quite a few of you were, with me in the thought management series where we introduced the concept of cognitive behavioral therapy. I will review that quickly again for those who may be new today. And, this is a very powerful intervention that we use in the field of psychology and psychiatry that's known to have a lot of evidence in how we can actually modify our thoughts that in turn can modify our feelings and behavior. So the construct is the way I think affects the way I feel, the way I feel affects the way I behave. And, along with my behavior or action, I certainly, if I tune in into my body, I can notice what kind of physical sensations come with what particular situation and emotions. And I think I have shared this example before. So some of you might know about this. This is my favorite example of helping people understand what CBT is. So, you know, um, you know, the situation is there's two housewives or working wives, doesn't matter, waiting for their husbands to come back from work. It's been 6:30. Normally they come at 6. There's been no news about they will be late. And so one lady thinks about what if my husband met with an accident. And so if she's thinking that way, she's going to generate feelings of fear and worry and feeling scared. And then it translates into this behavior of walking in the hallway, pacing, and feeling restless and not knowing what's happening. Same situation, the other lady in the other house, thinks or chooses to think, oh, my husband might have stopped by to pick up my favorite dessert. And that thought, as you see, can lead to more excitement, feeling happy, looking forward to him coming, bringing your favorite dessert. And she's sitting relaxed watching TV on the sofa. And so situation is the same. There are two different outcomes because the two different people in this situation thought about it differently. So, this is very much proven that, a lot of our emotions and our behavior choices are very much driven by our thoughts, and how we can actually start becoming more aware of what I'm thinking. That's where I can break the cycle and then, kind of may bring about a change. Um, so, we have done some of these mindfulness exercises along those last few sessions. But here, basically, what we are doing is the way mindfulness can be used to become more aware of your thoughts is to tune in. So, taking a moment to, take a pause in your busy day, even if it's for a minute, uh, or you carve out 5 minutes at the beginning of the day and the end of the day, and take a moment to still rest in your stillness and quietness. You can use your breath as an anchor to calm down and center and ground yourself, and then start paying attention to thoughts, like how we see somebody when they are blowing bubbles. We are you know, looking at thoughts. We are looking at these bubbles. Sorry, somebody trying to ask a question? No, right? Okay.
Hi. I got a question from the last slide. Since you mentioned the thoughts drive most of these behaviors, right?
Mm-hmm.
What is the essence? What is the takeaway from this illustration or from this concept? Basically, right, the first example that you gave to us, right, so that is deriving into some kind of a negative behavior, right? And even in the second category, there is some kind of positiveness, but still it may lead to anxiety. Can it be like more like a thoughtless instead of the one or the other way?
So I guess the second, why do you say that the second way of thinking still will generate some anxiety?
Yes, because the person is expecting that her husband is going to get something, and she's thinking in a positive way, but that will create an anxiety, right? What if it is not happening? it's again, it's nothing is confirmed here. It's a thought that is deriving. She doesn't know for sure. So it can be a positive feeling as well as a negative feeling. But even in positive, I'm thinking there might be some anxiety around that expectation.
Well, so I think, maybe you are looking at this at a more deeper level, but I guess more on a superficial level, this was just an example to help
Okay.
you understand the connection between these things. Now, let's say, um, you know, we take another example, right? So the idea is to really only demonstrate that there is a link between our thoughts and our feelings lead to our actions or behaviors, and um, we also know over time those particular patterns of behaviors lead to that's kind of how what I become habituated, and that kind of becomes my go-to habit of dealing with situations. So a lot of the times when we hear the saying our thoughts drive our destiny, or the way I think is what is going to determine what I will be tomorrow, is based on this construct that by thinking, if I have a tendency to think more negatively, I'm constantly generating more negative emotions, and that's driving my choices of behaviors, and that pattern over time becomes like a go-to, kind of a go-to habit, or that becomes over time my attitude. Anytime I'm sitting, like right now, in the COVID situation, I can think about, I'm feeling safe and I'm feeling secure. I'm taking all precautions to not catch the infection. So I can think that way, or I can think about, what if I get this? What if I will, be infected by this? What if I die? What will happen to my family? I can go on that path. But once I'm building that awareness that, the reason I constantly juggle with negative emotions, I'm constantly fighting with fear or anger or frustration in my life, is because I'm always thinking about the worst possible thing in every situation. What if I lose my job? What if I get COVID? What if one of my family members infects somebody? What if, you know, the economy collapses and I won't have home anymore? What if I have to, whatever? I can go on that spiral. But what we are trying to say here is that often that's what happens. One mother thought leads to a lot of baby thoughts, which are the spiral of negative thoughts, back to back, back to back, back to back. And that's what we are trying to build awareness about. And so next time I'm trying to think about this, I'm taking a pause and I'm saying, okay, wait a minute. What is another way to think about the situation? And that's a choice I can make only when I build awareness of how I think. And it doesn't need to be always you have to think positive versus negative. There can be even neutral thoughts like, yeah, I'm doing everything I can to prevent getting infected from COVID, but it can still happen. It doesn't need to be, oh, I'm doing everything so it will never happen. Or what if, it can be. But I think, what, at least from my work experience with dealing with other people who struggle with anxiety, depression, or other types of emotional disorders, I see that they spend a lot of time in negative thinking, and then they have series of negative thoughts that make them constantly feel threatened and anxious. And so allowing them to actually take a pause and build more awareness about, like, let me actually see why I feel this way. Oh, my thoughts have a big role in why I'm feeling this way all the time, and those drive my behavior, right? And so if I keep thinking, what if I lose my job? What if I lose my job? There have been like lots of layoffs happening. Whether or not that is destined to happen or not, just because I'm so worried about it, I'm constantly feeling that fear and threat. that may affect my ability to do work appropriately and deliver my projects appropriately. And that might actually lead to me losing job because I'm not performing well. So here is what the impact is with this kind of pattern, right? So, but if I, say, okay, I have that passing thought, I'm not going to believe in that. Let me keep doing what I can, and I'll see what happens. If I lose my job, I'll figure out what to do then. Then I can, have that more of a problem solving approach. But, what we see is that people get tangled in those thoughts and emotions and are stuck. And I talked about how our emotional brain takes over our logical brain and we lose our problem solving ability before. And so that's the whole construct. Does that make sense?
Yes, definitely, very much. Thank you, Dina.
Yeah. Okay.
Hello, Dr.
Yeah.
Lisa. I
Yeah.
have a quick question. So, like you were telling that there are thoughts behind thought and there will be a mother thought. So, just a question, from where does the thought originate?
Mhm. So, when we were talking about thought management, we talked about that, we understand there is an abstract kind of concept that there is a mind that we all have that generates thoughts. We don't have a clear, exact, understanding about it. Is it the how our neurons in the brain communicate with each other and produce some kind of thinking pattern, and that's what we process in our mind, and it's unclear. But what we know for sure is that there are some factors that influence our thinking. So our past experiences influence our thinking. The tendency of thinking and attitude in our family in which we were raised influences our thinking. So a lot of the times we understand that this is exactly the yeah. And I see somebody talking about memory and sanskars. So if people understand what sanskars mean, they may understand that there is certainly that concept as well, that lot of the thoughts are originating from past memories, past sanskars, meaning past patterns of behavior, or past ways of how I dealt with, or I saw my loved ones deal with situation growing up. So we certainly see there is an influence of those types of factors, what brings about different kinds of thoughts. It also originates from what kind of information I'm absorbing every day, what kind of stuff I'm reading, watching, listening to. So if I am, certainly if I'm watching a lot of the news about COVID, I'm going to be certainly having more worries or thoughts around that. If I am, you know, if I am, on the other hand, trying to limit that information, and I'm trying to, read more about self-care and how I can use this time to reinvent one of my hobbies, or how I can read something that I had been meaning to, or watch some series that I had been meaning to, then I can, certainly the type of information I feed into my mind also generates the type of thinking. So there's different sources, and so that's kind of what we understand. Like there is different sources, and we will be able to talk more specifically about all of those in detail maybe another time. I want to be mindful of the time we have, but if you missed the thought management series, that we have those recordings uploaded on Tarika Foundation website, as well as Poonam had posted them from from, I guess, in Cisco network. So you can find those, but this is very much kind of the seed of what we need to kind of work on. If we sow a positive, I guess, not a if we sow positive foundation and have more positive or neutral thoughts, then we certainly can have a different outcome versus if we are constantly, taking in negative information and processing that and generating more negative thoughts, then that certainly leads to a different outcome. And within our thoughts also, often we don't even pay attention to what are my, thoughts, like, why are some cruel thoughts I have, so, why are there so mean thoughts sometimes I have? Why do I constantly feel insecure? Why do I have this thought like I'm never going to be successful, I'm not good at this, I'm not good enough, I don't look pretty? So, we understand that, all of us certainly have a kind or unkind mind, and our kind mind is the one who's kind to ourselves and always encouraging us. And the unkind mind is the one that's kind of like, in terms, it's basically just like, you know, after you and trying to hit your vulnerable hotspots. We all have our own strengths and weaknesses, and so the if I am actually spending a lot of time in looking at my flaws and my weaknesses, then I'm empowering my unkind mind, and certainly it's going to generate a lot of negative thoughts like I'm not good enough, I'm stupid, I'm going to fail, but if I'm actually being kind to myself and appreciating the strengths I have, then I'm empowering my kind mind, and that's going to generate positive thoughts. So, mindfulness allows you to take a moment and that pause to start building that awareness about what am I thinking and what are my patterns. And then thought management we talked about, then you can actually figure out there are some distorted patterns of thinking that we all have, and that could be used to challenge our automatic or negative thoughts and turn them to more neutral or positive thoughts. So please go back and refer to the thought management series to understand some of this a little bit more in depth. And then once we have an understanding of how I am thinking, then I'm also more in touch with my feelings. And so I think I have done this exercise in one of the sessions as well, and maybe I could do that again in the next couple days. But essentially, not every feeling I have needs to be refuted or fought, is one concept. Some feelings, like this situation, we are in sheltered in place now for almost 2 months, and we are feeling sad, frustrated, we are feeling upset, angry at times. And so sometimes when situations are not in my control and they bring up, some feelings of helplessness or feelings of frustration, I can just accept them, befriend them rather than fighting them, and say, okay, this is how it is right now. So I'm feeling this way. I'm going to just let that feeling come and go, because we know every feeling is like a wave. It's not going to stay there for too long unless you start giving it more attention and start to fight it or not accept it. So, mindfulness also allows you to be in tune with not only what you're thinking, and once you're tracking how I'm thinking and how that's affecting what I'm feeling, then it gives you the power to deal with your feelings more effectively. You can, for some feelings, you just stay with them, befriend them, and then for some, you need to ask what this feeling wants me to do right now. If I am feeling scared about, losing my job, for instance, then maybe I could talk to a colleague and share my concerns and see if this is a valid kind of concern I have, maybe. Or if I'm feeling really frustrated with the amount of work I have to do these days with trying to do office related work and then do house related work, and I'm just like feeling like I'm constantly on the go, and I'm feeling frustrated and upset, then how can I deal with that feeling? What is that asking me to do? Maybe I need to talk to my family members and get some help. Or maybe I need to carve out some time for myself, for my self-care, so I can have higher ability to deal with my day-to-day stress and demands right now. Maybe I need to go and exercise for 30 minutes. Maybe I need to carve out time to, meditate. For some, meditation would be like, the same benefit as meditation might come from singing if they are, into singing or playing their music instrument, going for a run, talking to somebody, writing into your journal. There's various ways I can, but if I'm in tune, in touch with my thoughts and feelings, I can really find a way to deal with it there and then rather than shoving it and then somebody says something, I blast and I lose my control, right? So, um, so I, bring this back to, you know, how again, this awareness is built only if I spend time with my inner self and my inner world. Otherwise, this is not something you are in even touch with. You may sometimes not even know I'm feeling nervous and may present as this queasy, uncomfortable feeling in your tummy. And then later on, you'll be like, oh, yeah, maybe I was nervous. That's why I was feeling like that. So, mindfulness gives you an opportunity to be in touch and tune or strengthen that attention muscle to be more in touch with the inner world. What am I thinking? What am I feeling? How can I get through whatever is bothering me right now? And finding a way to think about the solution in a more, having a broader perspective and then finding a solution that seems more appropriate. So kind of choosing a response versus reaction. So I know I want to be very aware of the time. It's 9 o'clock. And I think we need to stop on time today. So we are going to do that. We will resume the last part. We have like 4 or 5 more slides that I can review tomorrow. And certainly Poonam has more things to also add. So she will add, another day or two for her other additional thoughts on stress management. So thank you all. We should let Poonam go for her meeting without feeling stressed and overwhelmed. So we will help her do that today.